Hello everybody, Josh here again, and I welcome you again to COA. So today I want to talk about stepping out of your comfort zone. The other day on my Instagram, I'll just place a link here, I posted a nice little slide on how I view and how I perceive the comfort zone being an ongoing process and how it actually looks. I try to visualize it in a very fun way. Now, when you think about your comfort zone, you generally think about it as the wideness or the depth and the degree to which you are comfortable doing things in the physical world, how far you want to express your thoughts, and if you want to occasionally step out of that zone. Now, the way how the comfort zone is set up in our minds and the way that we generally perceive it is something that is very unique to us. Other people's comfort zones are not as wide or as tight and shallow as ours is. And what we need to take cognizance of is that in the process of growing and developing and maturing as a human being, we tend to explore things that challenge us, things that bring some more wealth of knowledge to us and expands our consciousness, expands our capabilities of the things that we are willing and comfortable doing. So I'm just going to explain some general points that you may already have thought of, but if not, it's wise to think on these things, on how you could expand it and how you could be more comfortable in challenging situations. So the first thing is to just make a snap decision. Sometimes we tend to overthink things. I know for myself, I tend to be just going through continuous loops of thinking of all the possible scenarios. I like to think about the possibility of things. I like to think that I'm an analytical thinker, but I think I'm very abstract and I like to imagine possibilities and scenarios. And sometimes I just need to jump into action and go with the flow and see how things happen. And a lot of times we miss opportunities. So if you have some kind of sense of a particular situation that is not life-threatening and you have the opportunity to make some mistakes that's not going to be too detrimental, I encourage you to just make a snap judgment. Just say yes and see how it goes from there. If you make the mistakes, that's just a prime reason to know what not to do, and you'll be able to make better judgment calls in the future and make it quickly. Second thing is to consider other points of view. Let me put a little example towards you. So just imagine you have whatever ideology, something you believe in, and you know that there are other people in the world that do not generally agree to you. The common thing for people to do is to just close off and say, hey, I'm talking nonsense, I not even go and entertain what they have to say, and I just go and move on. But what that does, it puts you in what you call an echo chamber, and it's basically you just hearing the same thing over and over again. And it's like if you were living in this chamber of your values, your beliefs, and the things that you accept, you just getting feedback of what you generally already agree. But if you take some time to put yourself in a position where your views, your beliefs, and your ideals are challenged, it can expose you to more depth of thought and be a lot more empathetic to other people's perceptions. And what that will also do as well, it will test your theories. Okay, video just cut. So as I was saying, what this will also do is to test your theories, test your ideas, and generally put your concepts into the spotlight for it to be challenged. One or two things could happen. You could be corrected and proven wrong, and then there's this beautiful opportunity for growth and you gain wisdom. The second thing is, if you are correct, it just reinforces your concepts as being the correct thing, and then you know that you're on a proper path towards being a much more wholesome individual. So go ahead and put your theories to the test and go in the spaces where people will generally be not accepting of your views and test your worth. So the third thing I want to talk about is doing what you're afraid of. This is probably the most uncomfortable thing that you could probably think about doing, and for good reason. We want to have the highest probability of survival, if it's just our physical being or even just our thoughts. When what we have is being presented in a space where there are threats and things tend to, you know, probably offer an opportunity to destroy you completely, you want to preserve yourself. In psychology, we have this concept of the ego, the id, and the superego. And generally, the ego is that kind of concept where that part of your being is really just doing what it wants to do, doing what's pleasurable, and just maintaining the status quo. But generally, you can't rely on that, because you have the capability to do critical thinking, and that's where the super ego comes into play. And if you have to put yourself in a position where you are afraid, you can increase your survivability skills. You can give yourself a greater sense of competency to protect yourself. It's like learning to fight. It's like learning how to defend yourself from a bully in school. It's learning how to communicate well in a situation that requires conflict resolution. So I encourage you, do a little something every day that you're afraid or you're uncomfortable dealing with, and you will just get stronger at it. Okay, so the fourth thing is allow others to decide for you. Putting your faith in the hands of other people is not a thing we like to do, especially with strangers or people that we really don't connect with, and people we are not completely sure have our backs and are competent enough to protect our interests. And I mean, it's a big thing to put yourself into the trust of strangers, but we do this every day, and we have faith that other people will pull through and, you know, do their jobs and do that, do what they're supposed to do. We do it with the protective services, we do it with doctors, we do it with dentists, even the people cooking our own food. Now take that into mind and put that in a context of something, a task or a project that you're working on, or even your schoolwork. Designating that authority to delegating that authority to someone else can really test your mettle to leave things outside of your control so that you can focus on what you are capable of controlling. And this brings me to the end of this video. I want to start keeping these videos short. If you liked what I talked about here, or you felt that I have missed out anything, leave a comment below. Like this video, and if you're here for the first time, subscribe to the channel. And please, please, please help this channel grow and share the content. I am trying to build it some more, as well as my other content on Instagram as well. And I thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you in the next one. Have a good day.